Causes of changes in nutrient intake in older adults. Loss of smell. As we get older, our sense of smell gets worse, and our sense of smell takes longer to get from our nose to our brain. Just like every other sensory stimulation takes longer to get from input to process. It's just how it works. Our train has slowed down, and we need to be cognizant of that. So, for example, if you used to be able to, really nurture that coffee and you could smell it the minute it started to brew and it smelled so good, and now it's like, part of that could be your sense of smell is starting to go. People who smoke tend to have impaired sense of smell. People with a lot of allergies tend to have an impaired sense of smell. So sense of smell, and if you've ever had a sinus infection and not been able to smell, food, if it tastes like anything at all, it tastes weird. And that, again, is that our brain correlates what we're tasting with what we're smelling, and it puts it together. And if it can't smell, then you're not going to get the whole signal back to where you need it to be. There's a reduction in sweet and salty. Now, aside from just being a cruel joke, a lot of older adults will oversugar and oversalt their food. You can see the problem in that, especially if they're diabetic or hypertensive or sensitive to salt. If they've got, issues like congestive heart failure and they're already taking diuretics, it can be a problem. We need to ideally help educate them and empower them with other spices in order to bring out the sweet and salty. Cinnamon is a great spice, if you will. It's a spice to bring out the sweetness in things. It actually is somewhat sweet itself. And cinnamon helps with blood sugar regulation. Don't overdo it. You actually can get too much cinnamon, but cinnamon can help bring out the flavor a little bit. Salty is a little bit harder, but experiment with other herbs like basil and oregano and parsley and garlic. Oh, I love my garlic. And see if you can find things that make it taste good, even if it doesn't taste exactly the same. Older adults may just not have an appetite. That could be because their circadian rhythms are out of whack, or because they're depressed, or if you can't smell, you're not getting triggered. A lot of us think about Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's coming up. And I know when I walk into a house and I smell that turkey cooking, my salivary juices start going, my hunger hormones start getting released. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to eat that. It stimulates our desire to eat. Our appetite is stimulated. But if you can't smell and you don't expect to be able to taste, you may just not be all that motivated to eat because eating is not triggering the release of dopamine. People stress eat. We know this. Why do they stress eat? Partly because when we chew, it stimulates the rest and digest, but also because when we eat high fat, high sugar foods, it triggers the release of dopamine and serotonin. So a lot of people, when they stress eat, gravitate towards those highly processed, high fat foods. Stress eating of junk throughout the day can be a habit just out of boredom. It gives them that dopamine release. It gives them a little surge, if you will, from the blood sugar spike. And it can be comforting when people are feeling lonely and isolated. They may gravitate toward foods that make them feel warm and fuzzy, that make them remember good times, like the cinnamon rolls their mama used to make. Aging and stress-related changes in the gut microbiome can make it harder for the gut to break down food and make it harder for the body to absorb it. There is reduced absorption in the gut in older adults. Unfortunately, everything starts to slow down and become more inefficient as we age. Now, we can slow that down a little bit But we can't stop that process. So we need to recognize that in older adults, a lot of them, especially if they're on medications, have reduced nutrient absorption in the gut. So what they've eaten, what they've broken down, it's kind of going out the other end. And especially if they're not chewing well, if they've got dry mouth, if they've got inflammatory bowel disease, if they've got ulcers, or a variety of things. Monitoring the older adult's nutrition is really important for the multidisciplinary team. There's reduced chewing ability because of pain, because of poorly fitting dentures, because of dry mouth. Difficulty swallowing comes in with dry mouth and with dementia. Unfortunately, as dementia progresses, some people will lose the ability to effectively navigate that chewing and swallowing activity. So they may not be able to get the nutrition in, which obviously is the point where medical staff steps in. But we need to recognize that early, because it's not just going to happen one day where you wake up and Sally can't swallow. It's going to happen gradually. And if we notice it, there may be things that we can do to refer them to their physician, an occupational therapist, making changes in their food that can help them continue to ingest food orally for as long as possible.